Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us today to talk about digital transformation. Digital transformation is not just a buzzword. It's about driving real strategic discussions about business outcomes across cloud, mobile, social, analytics. And Oracle plays a really critical role in our clients' digital transformations because we bring together the infrastructure, the applications, the data, all of the necessary components for true digital transformation. One of our goals today is to help you move from a transactional mindset to a transformational set of thinking. I am joined by Rob Ruello, and we are happy to talk to you about how we are helping drive digital transformation for our clients. We're going to cover first what the digital transformation imperative is, what's going on in the world around us. What are some of the drivers of transformation that you should be thinking about in terms of your digital business? How can you start reframing and rethinking the possibilities that open up as a result of kind of the world around us and the way that you bring technology to solve for the business outcomes? And then we'll share a transformation success story just to bring it to life with a real example. And then finally, we'll make sure we give you some real next steps so that you can begin to take action immediately on the things that we've discussed with you today.
All right, thank you, Stephanie. So my name's Rob Ruello, and obviously the past year has been very challenging, not only for Oracle, but for many of our clients. So McKinsey tells us that the rapid acceleration to digital was driven by the pandemic and will continue well into the recovery. With their quote, "We have vaulted 5 years forward in consumer and business digital adoption in a matter of around 8 weeks." So remote ways of working have at least in part driven the faster execution drumbeat that we're all experiencing in organizations. But in addition to remote work, we're also seeing changes in how consumers purchase from companies, and we're also seeing changes in how supply chains are being executed. Because of this, companies will need to ensure that their digital channels are on par with or better than those of their competition to succeed in this new environment. So what we're seeing on this slide is that the acceleration of digital initiatives is truly driving transformational thinking. What's interesting, per a recent Gartner survey, 69% of companies are accelerating their digital initiatives due to the pandemic. So due to new ways of interacting with their customers, new ways of managing their supply chains, new ways of interacting with their workforce, that's really forcing this adoption. And companies have really jumped feet first into the digital world. 60% of a revised IT strategy plans in 2021 are as a result of COVID. So we're seeing our clients actually revise their IT strategies as a result of this pandemic, and they're looking at how to adjust their spend and where to spend them, and get the biggest bang for their buck. And 42% of companies are increasing their budgets to satisfy their digital needs in 2020, 2021. So that's actually great news for the IT industry. We're seeing a resurgence of investment as companies are taking advantage of these digital technologies and looking forward to how these interactions will continue to be the normal way of interaction going forward. All right, so the one thing that we are seeing is that customer experiences are truly driving this digital transformation. Their behaviors and preferred methods of interacting with the company have changed significantly. And as human beings, experiences have always defined us, but the pandemic has reinforced the notion that a brand's value is defined by the experiences that it delivers. Brands must listen to their customers and deliver experiences that are authentic, context-aware, and empathetic. And this is no longer a nice to have. So we're seeing that these modes of delivering experiences to customers are table stakes for all companies, and anything less is going to put immediate revenue goals at risk and also the long-term survival of these companies. So the one question that we want to ask is related to the words interconnected, pervasive, insightful, and context aware. What does your brand stand for, and what does this mean to your business? So the one thing that we're all recognizing is that it is time to think differently. So 3 questions that we're asking our clients to consider in looking at their transformations are: A, what kind of digital experience is your brand delivering? How are you touching your customers? How are you interacting with your employees? How are you managing your supply chains, your vendors, and your partners? The second question is, are you creating digital experiences that future enable your business? So investments that you make in these technologies aren't simply, a short-term end game. It's really meant to provide longevity to your business, as we do believe that some of these behaviors will have stickiness going forward beyond the pandemic. And then the third question is, are you using digital to transform your people and operations? So implementing technology for technology's sake simply isn't good enough. The purpose of implementing a digital transformation strategy is to truly enable your people to do more with less, to interact better with each other across distances, to interact better with your customers, and also to extract learning from your operations to drive efficiencies going forward. So this is forcing businesses to rethink possibilities. And some of the things that we're doing within Oracle to help our clients think about these possibilities is really helping them to reimagine these digital imperatives along four lenses. The first lens is what we call new thinking, and that's using digital to drive innovation and transformation, really focused on human and value centricity, lean startup, and incremental innovation. And below this line, we see some Oracle products and services that are geared towards helping our clients think differently, things like our Fusion apps and also our customer experience applications. From an engineering perspective, we're working with our clients to help them manage their systems better and more efficiently. And this is where we're helping our clients take advantage of things like DevOps, CI/CD, lean, agile, low-code development. And obviously, Oracle has many things at our disposal to help our clients transform the way that they manage their systems and their operations. The third is around new technology. So how do you reduce cost while ensuring scale? And that's where things like cloud native and microservices really help our clients rethink how to manage their technology and their architectures. API-driven open standards is really innovating the way that clients architect their backends to have these systems, configure and talk to each other independently. And then finally, automation tools are able to free our clients to essentially automate workloads that were once manual in nature. And then finally, from a new relationships perspective, how can we use digital to build trusted relationships, both with customers, with partners, and with employees? And we're helping our clients reimagine the future of work. So obviously, we've seen a shift in the last 12 months with a lot of workers working from home and remotely. That's a trend that is likely to continue. But also the future of work is going to entail, how do we work across different geographical boundaries, different cultural boundaries, and also different age groups. We now have 4 different generations in the workforce, which is pretty much a first in the U.S. economy. Also, customer interactions are going to change. Obviously, customers are shopping different, interacting with our businesses different, doing things in a different way that we only envisioned possible about a year ago. The digital ecosystem is obviously changing. We've got digital partners that are coming together to truly deliver these experiences collaboratively. And we're seeing the sharing of information across different boundaries and also the ability to interconnect systems. And then finally, digital technologies are enabling better decision making. So providing information to decision makers within companies to help them have real-time information at their fingertips to make decisions and create right-sized decisions very, very quickly. So one other thing is that Oracle does help simplify our customers' environments by removing artificial barriers. So as part of a digital transformation, you may have workflows and architectures on the left that do look a bit tangled. So customers interact with your business through sales, supply chain, service support, billing, et cetera. And oftentimes architectures and workflows tend to be a bit confusing to the customer, and they tend to be a bit tangled on the back end. Where we're able to see breakthrough results is by working with our clients to help not only untangle their architectures, but to streamline and provide an efficient way of managing information across the stack. So with our Fusion applications portfolio, we're able to provide end-to-end coverage of all the functions that a customer typically sees from a business and all the processes that a business would typically follow. And all of this sits on our OCI Gen 2 cloud infrastructure, which provides all of the infrastructure and capabilities to truly perform functions like application development, integration, analytics, security, and to manage data effectively. And then tying this all together into a case study. So Oracle recently conducted a project with FedEx where we used our Oracle Fusion platform to transform their ERP and supply chain processes using analytics. And basically the output here was we were able to help FedEx gain access to their information in real time, use artificial intelligence and the ability to run complex analytics on their data to reduce operational costs. So again, it was a pretty big win for FedEx, actually a great case study for Oracle, and we invite you to dig into this if you want more detail. So I'm going to turn it over to Steph, who's going to walk us into the entry points into a digital transformation.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Rob. I mean, the reality is we're in such an interesting time right now with being in a post-pandemic world, figuring out what that means. And, as I said at the start, digital transformation is not a buzzword. It's really about how you're looking at your business differently. So what I wanted to share here is many of you probably have heard of Gartner's bimodal IT. The concept of bimodal IT is that there's this tension between your systems of record. So these are your systems that are focused on things like your single source of truth and where you need to be very audit ready, and those are often legacy systems. And then Gartner's bimodal IT argues that you need to have two speeds of development because those systems of record are often really slow and difficult to change. Maybe they've been embedded in past architectural decisions, or because they do need to comply with a number of regulations, they're slower to change. On the systems of engagement or interaction side, that's where your users live. Those are the applications. Those are the things that are really need to run at the speed of business. And a lot of the digital transformation conversation comes in through the lens of systems of engagement. Then meanwhile, kind of looming out there, even if you haven't gotten this balance quite right yet, is the idea that if you're not looking at data differently, if you're not gathering insights from AI, ML, analytics, that you're still going to be behind the curve. And so now we bring in this third system, the systems of intelligence, to build out the idea of a trimodal IT concept. So these three different entry points, they fundamentally all come together in our Oracle story as a way of enacting the same kind of transformational activities, but based on the system that you come in through, you may have a different value prop or a different business reason for trying to build that sense of transformation. So systems of record usually begins by thinking about estate modernization. You have some older systems that you need to update. You're looking for cost efficiencies. And so you're looking at how you modernize the estate and the foundations that you have. The digital transformation lens comes in through believing that you really need to change how you're doing business at the glass, right? As simple as something like restaurants now providing QR codes for their menus. These are simple kinds of concepts, but fundamentally the entirety of your technology stack. And then the third one, data transformation. Maybe you're trying to figure out how do you do more with the data you already have. Maybe you're trying to figure out how do you gain insights by enriching with different data sets. So whichever angle that you're coming to the story from in terms of transformation, rather than looking at each of these systems as three separate silos, our approach is to think about how you use those three concepts as lenses to one transformational conversation, achieving your business outcomes. So how do you get started? I mean, there are so many different activities that sit underneath these conversations, including the story that Rob told about FedEx. Let's start with systems of record. One idea is relooking at how you use cloud to really create an advantage so that you're rebuilding your architecture with intention versus through decisions that have been made over time. In the systems of intelligence lens, we would be looking at how do you leverage all of these data sources to now make better sense of that information for decision making? How do you empower the data to enable your business to think differently about how they maybe open a new market, how they interact with their client base? On the systems of engagement side, how do you use a digital strategy to enhance that user experience? I mean, in this world that we're in today, There's no shortage of ideas about how to interact differently or better with your clients. So can you come up with kind of an art of the possible and work backwards to what's necessary for the requirements for your technology transformation? In addition to pandemics, there are a lot of other triggers that some of these might seem familiar to you, or maybe they resonate with the business you're in today. Maybe there's a change in leadership. Anytime you have new leadership coming in, often that is a reason for relooking at your strategy and what your digital transformation could mean. It could also be a change in business. Many of these are applicable today because of the macroeconomics happening around us. High technical debt is another great trigger for paying attention to noticing if you have a high technical debt, you're spending on just keeping the lights on, you're spending on decisions from yesterday instead of innovations of tomorrow. Is there a way for you to use that as a trigger for changing your digital transformation strategy? High costs, high people cost structures. Where can you use technology to make sure that the humans in your system are operating at their highest value? Changes in regulatory behavior in the market itself around us. M&A activity is another great one. I was speaking with a bank recently, and they'd been doing so many M&A activities, it was really changing their entire customer experience and how they serve their customer base. So M&A activity can be a really useful trigger for understanding how you might want to consolidate as part of your digital transformation strategy to a more compelling customer outside-in strategy. And as we said at the beginning, we want to start thinking about this from the perspective of changing mindset, not only triggers on how you might want to change your technology strategy, but how you actually think about transformation. If you're in a transactional mindset, you're thinking about short-term wins, you're thinking about short-term successes, maybe just the first few metrics that are in front of you, policies and policing. Often transactional decisions are made where it's technology-led. I know because I need this feature function. I'm going to assume what the outcome should look like based on the technology decisions I'm making. It's very project management culture, meaning I have projects, they have a start and they have a stop. They're ring fenced and siloed. And we're really risk adverse when we're in a transactional mindset. We don't look at growth possibilities. So how can we shift that to transformational? Looking at the longer term vision. What do you want the business to be doing 12 months, 24 months from now? Can you paint that vision in your mind? If that vision were to come to life, what would it mean for your business results? How will you goalpost or identify the success criteria that will help make sure that you're on the right path? It's strategy led, meaning we're going to make decisions based on that strategy that we want to execute, not based on the technology sitting in front of us. It's generating an innovation culture, which means bringing up the ideas, trying different things. And when we say fail fast, we really mean learn fast, right? Embracing risk so that we know we're making big bets, bold plays that are going to pay off over time. But at the same time, we're carefully watching it with the success criteria we've set up to know that we're staying on course. And you do not need to do it all by yourself. So all of these concepts around digital transformation that Rob and I have just shared with you are from understanding what's happening in the market, understanding what we've done in our careers, and the clients that we're working with today from Oracle's perspective. We brought all of those things together in what we call our Hello Workshop. We like to say, ask anything, risk nothing. You can bring your ideas, your concepts, your questions into our 2 to 4 hour virtual workshop. And we use our signature cloud evolution framework as a way just to facilitate the conversation and help visualize what could that vision look like to help you become more transformational minded and less transactional minded. So please reach out to us today. We're excited to help you and dig into this conversation more deeply. We are all poised and ready for bigger digital transformations.